Hello, friends, and welcome back to Silent Husband Club. We know it's been a while since our last story. Thank you for your patience. From now on, we'll do our best to bring you powerful new stories every single day. What do you do when the person you trusted most vanishes into silence and every lie they told begins to unravel your future? This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about how far someone will go to escape the truth, and how much it costs to finally face it. If you enjoy stories like this, please subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. It truly helps the channel grow and keeps you updated. When Claire and I broke apart, it wasn't a storm of screaming, slammed doors, or broken dishes. No, it was something colder. Something worse. It was silence. A silence that felt as if love itself had already withered away between us. And in that silence, I began to notice the cracks, the secrets that couldn't stay buried. It started with her weekends. She'd vanish, claiming she was with her sister. At first, I wanted to believe her, because after 6 years together, and 3 of those years spent engaged, who questions the woman you're about to marry? But suspicion has a way of gnawing at you. One night, I finally asked, my voice calm but heavy. "Where were you last Saturday, Claire?" "You said you were with your sister." Her body shifted like she was cornered. Eyes flickered away, her voice defensive. "I was." "Why are you asking like that?" But I had already checked. I had already called her sister. And the answer had shattered the lie. Her sister hadn't seen her in weeks. That's when Claire froze, panic flashing across her face. Then, scrambling, she changed her story. "Oh, I meant Eleanor. I was with Eleanor, my friend. I just mixed up the names." It should have been a red flag. A bright, burning warning. But I swallowed it down. You don't just throw away years of love, a wedding already planned, the invitations printed, the venue booked over what seemed like one slip of the tongue. Or at least that's what I told myself as I stared into her eyes, searching for the woman I thought I knew. But deep down, something inside me whispered that a storm was already coming. Claire grew colder with each passing week, like the warmth between us had been quietly switched off. Calls grew shorter, texts became rare, and her excuses more flimsy. I tried to reach her, tried to hold on to the woman I thought I was going to marry, but every attempt was met with irritation. One night, she exploded at me. "You're suffocating me," she snapped, her voice sharp, her eyes full of fury I barely recognized. "You're always asking where I am, what I'm doing. Do you think I'm a child?" My hands clenched as I fought to stay calm. "No, Claire," I answered, frustrated but still pleading. "I think you're my fiancée. I think I deserve to know why the woman I'm supposed to build a life with is suddenly pulling away like a stranger." She didn't reply. Instead, she packed a bag right there in front of me and walked out, saying she needed space. That door closed with a finality that shook me to my core. I waited, believing space meant a few days, maybe a week. But days stretched into weeks, and in that silence, I realized she wasn't taking space. She was taking herself out of my life. No calls. No texts. Not even a cruel goodbye. Just absence, as if I'd ceased to exist. At first, I wasn't angry. I was numb. I told myself maybe she was overwhelmed, maybe it was the pressure of the wedding. But as I stared at our invitations, neatly stacked on the kitchen counter, and the receipt from the venue pinned to the fridge, the truth pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't carry. We weren't just losing time, we were losing everything we had built. And so, one morning, with trembling hands and a heart that felt hollow, I made the hardest decision of my life. I called the venue. I called the caterer. The florist. Every name on that list of preparations for the life we were supposed to share, I had to erase. Cancelled, cancelled, cancelled. Then came the hardest calls of all, to family and friends, to explain why there would be no wedding, why the future we had promised them had vanished. Each word cut deeper, like I wasn't just ending an engagement but burying the life we had mapped out together. I told myself it was the right thing to do. That I couldn't marry someone who had already left me in every way that mattered. But even as I said the words, a part of me still ached, still clung to the memory of who Claire used to be. And then, just when I thought the silence would swallow me whole, my phone rang and her brother's voice pulled me right back into the chaos I thought I had escaped. It was Martin, Claire's brother, his voice hesitant as if he already knew I wouldn't want to hear what he had to say. "Hey, Daniel," he began awkwardly, "how have you been?" I leaned back on the couch, bitter laughter in my throat. "Let me guess, Claire asked you to call me, didn't she?" Silence stretched across the line before he admitted, "Well, yeah. She's upset. She thinks things got out of hand. She wants to fix this." Those words, "fix this," were like salt in an open wound. I snapped, my patience gone. She ghosted me for weeks, Martin. Weeks. She left me dangling, wondering what the hell I did wrong. "How do you fix that?" His voice softened, almost pleading. "She knows she messed up. She just wants to talk it out." But I was done with middlemen. If Claire wanted to talk, she could have picked up the phone. Instead, she sent her brother, hiding behind him like a child too afraid to face the damage she had caused. "No, Martin," I said firmly. "I'm not interested." He sighed heavily. "You two are good together. Don't throw it away." My blood boiled. She already did. And I'm done picking up the pieces. The calls didn't stop there. Days later, Claire's mother phoned me, her voice trembling with apologies, begging me to reconsider, insisting her daughter had changed. But to me, those words meant nothing. Claire had lied, abandoned me, ignored every attempt I made to reach her. Change doesn't erase betrayal. I was polite, but inside, a storm was raging. Why did they all think I should be the one to bend, to forgive, to make it easy for her? Nobody had seen the nights I sat alone staring at my phone, praying for a message that never came. Nobody had felt the hollow silence she left me drowning in. Then came the letter. Her handwriting on the envelope nearly made me throw it straight into the trash. But curiosity, or maybe weakness, got the better of me. Inside, page after page was filled with dramatic apologies, dripping with regret. She claimed she missed me, that she wanted to start over. But halfway through, the tone shifted. She wrote, "I've been thinking about how we can fix this, Daniel. I still have the key to your apartment, and I've thought about stopping by so we can talk face to face. I even looked into counseling for us. I know we can make this work if we just try." My skin crawled. She still had a key. My heart pounded as I realized she thought she could just walk back into my life, uninvited, as if the boundaries I set meant nothing. Thankfully, I had already changed the locks. Still, the thought left me shaken, uneasy. The next morning, I sent a short reply, "Claire, I've already moved on. Please don't contact me again." I thought that would be the end of it. But Claire was not finished. Not by a long shot. A knock came at my door one evening, and when I opened it, I found Eleanor, Claire's sister, standing there, her face tight with something more than sadness. Her visit wasn't just another attempt to patch broken pieces. No. Eleanor carried the kind of truth that could tear down what little illusions I still held. Eleanor's eyes carried a weight I wasn't prepared for. When she asked to come inside, my first instinct was to slam the door, convinced Claire had sent her as yet another messenger. But then she whispered words that froze me in place. "She doesn't know I'm here, Daniel. I just came to tell you something you need to know. Maybe then you'll understand." Against my better judgment, I let her in, my chest tight, my thoughts spinning. Eleanor hesitated, almost as if she dreaded being the one to say it, but finally, she drew a shaky breath and delivered the truth I had both feared and suspected. She was with someone else. That's where she was all those weeks. She went away with him, a guy from the gym. She wanted to see if it was real. The words detonated inside me. My mind spun, my vision blurred, my entire body buzzed with disbelief and rage. Claire hadn't been lost, confused, or suffocating. She had been cheating. Sleeping in someone else's bed while I sat at home clutching my phone like a fool. And worse, she had left me twisting in the wind, torturing me with silence, while she tried out a new life with another man. I clenched my fists until my knuckles turned white, forcing myself not to shatter something right there in front of Eleanor. She kept talking, her voice low, almost apologetic, but I could hardly hear her over the roar in my head. She realized it wasn't what she wanted. She says it was always you, Daniel. She knows she made a mistake. She wants you back. That was the moment I snapped. My voice shook with fury as I glared at her. So let me get this straight. She cheats on me, runs off on some romantic getaway with another man, then strolls back expecting forgiveness? Are you serious, Eleanor? My words cut the air like a blade, and for the first time, she flinched. She tried to soften the blow, saying Claire was sorry, that she regretted it all, but I didn't care. Regret doesn't erase betrayal. Apologies don't glue back shattered trust. What she destroyed couldn't be rebuilt, not in a lifetime. I told Eleanor to leave, my voice steady but trembling with the force of everything I held back. When the door finally shut behind her, I leaned against it, my hands shaking, my heart pounding so violently I thought it might burst. The rage inside me was like fire, and yet beneath it was a deeper, colder truth. I was finally seeing Claire for who she really was. Not the woman I wanted her to be, not the fiancée I had dreamed of marrying, but the stranger who had betrayed me without a second thought. And I knew then that this wasn't the end. Claire wasn't finished with me. She would come back, again and again, desperate to claw her way into a life she had already burned to the ground. In the days that followed Eleanor's confession, I expected Claire to vanish from my world entirely. I thought maybe the shame of her own choices would finally silence her. But I underestimated her desperation. It began with calls I ignored, then her mother pleading again, telling me Claire was devastated and begging me to give her another chance. Then came the letters, notes taped to my front door, one after another, the same pitiful refrain, "Daniel, please talk to me. I can't let this end like this. I love you." At first, I tore them up. Then, when I found another waiting after work, I felt something darker stir inside me. This wasn't love anymore. It was obsession. I confided in Patrick, my oldest friend, over drinks at our usual bar. He listened, his brow furrowed, while I laid it all out, the lies, the cheating, the manipulations, the stalking. He didn't sugarcoat his advice. "You've got to make it crystal clear this isn't okay," he said. "She's not going to stop unless you draw a line she can't cross. File a restraining order, Daniel. Protect yourself." The words hit me hard. I hated that it had come to this, but deep down, I knew he was right. Love had turned into intrusion, and intrusion had started to feel like a threat. That night, when I pulled into my parking lot, my headlights fell on a shadow I recognized instantly. Claire was waiting by my apartment. My pulse spiked, my hands tightening around the steering wheel. When I stepped out, she walked toward me with wild eyes, her voice shaking but determined. "Daniel, We need to talk. I love you. I can't let you go. I stared at her, exhausted and furious. Are you serious? You lied, you cheated, you dragged your family into this, and now you show up here like nothing happened? She moved closer, tears streaking her face. I don't know what else to do. Please, can't you see? I'll do anything. Just don't leave me. I stepped back, cold as stone. You disappeared, Claire. You betrayed me. You begged my mother to interfere. And now this? No. I'm done. I made my choice. Her face crumpled, her sobs sharp in the quiet night. Please don't do this. I can't live without you. My jaw tightened as I delivered the only truth left between us. Then live with the consequences. You did this. And if you keep showing up like this, I'll file a restraining order. This is not okay anymore. I walked past her, heart hammering, and locked the door behind me, leaving her on the other side of the life she destroyed. The next morning, I followed through. I signed the papers, the ink trembling under my hand, but with each stroke came a grim certainty. This was the only way to reclaim my peace. I braced myself for more drama, another round of begging and tears. But what came instead was something unexpected: silence. The silence that followed was strange, almost haunting. After months of chaos, my world suddenly felt still, as though someone had pressed pause on the noise that had consumed my life. No more calls from her family. No more desperate knocks at my door. No more notes taped to my apartment. At first, I didn't trust it. I waited for the other shoe to drop, half expecting to see her shadow outside my window or her number lighting up my phone. But the days passed, and the silence held. For the first time in a long while, I could breathe again. And yet, peace didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, almost cautiously, like it was afraid I'd reject it too. Sitting in my living room at night, I'd stare at the empty spot on the couch where Claire once sat and feel the ache of everything we had planned: the wedding that would never happen, the life we would never share. It was grief, raw and sharp. But beneath that grief was something else, something stronger. Relief. Because as much as it hurt, I knew I had finally severed myself from someone who had poisoned every part of my trust. One evening, Patrick came over with a couple of beers. He studied me for a moment, then gave a small, knowing smile. You seem different, he said. Lighter. I leaned back, exhaling a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Yeah, I admitted quietly. I guess I realized I don't have to carry it anymore. She made her choices. I made mine. And for the first time in years, I feel free. Looking back now, I don't regret ending it, no matter how brutal the path was. If anything, it taught me the hardest but most important lesson of all: love without respect is a prison, and trust once broken never truly returns. Claire taught me that. And in losing her, I found something far more valuable than a wedding or a promise. I found myself again. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, shocked you, or simply made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, your thoughts, your story, your truth. Subscribe for more raw, real, and unforgettable confessions. And if this story made you feel seen, share it. Someone else might need to hear it too. You're not alone here. This channel is a safe space for those who've been betrayed, broken, and rebuilt.